2 decades of partnership. Your Excellency, at this point, I would like to invite the Governor, Nairobi County, to come and make some remarks. I'm made to understand he's an old boy of KEPSA. Tumpigie makofi tafadhali akija. Karibu sana, Governor.
Thank you very much. I'm not an old boy of KEPSA, but I'm a friend of KEPSA over the years. Your Excellency, the President, Waziri, all dignitaries, my colleague, Governor of Kisumu, and the Chairman of KEPSA. Indeed, I'm really pleased to be here today to congratulate you on this milestone, having achieved 20 years of KEPSA. It's quite an achievement. KEPSA has been an indelible part of Kenya's history. I was watching a video just a few hours ago of KEPSA at 10. Now, many of you looked a bit different. Lee, you look the same. You look the same. The most outstanding was Koi, karaoke. And in that video, what you were talking about, and of course, we saw two of our late friends, Karanja Kabage and Chris Kirubi, on that video. But what they spoke about was the coming together of the private sector and government from the time of transition. And at that time, of course, Professor NYONG'O, who will speak, played such a big role as Minister for Planning. At every point when this country needed to make policy decision and to anchor an economic blueprint, from the poverty reduction strategy paper that then transitioned to the economic recovery strategy paper for wealth creation and employment, the solid policy positions that have driven this country up to Vision 2050 have been thanks to the engagement of KEPSA and the government. And I think you should applaud yourselves for that. Those blueprints have really guided a lot of what we're doing as a country. And our president now, implementing the plan and the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, Your Excellency, we must build together with the private sector. Right now, as the county of Nairobi, we're looking at the next 25 years. In 25 years, 10.5 million people will be in this city. Our population will grow. 65% of the world, is going to be in Africa. Our generation is really young. Our median age is 19. We must do the same thing that KEPSA is so good at in planning for the future. So in January, I'll be coming to you to contribute some of your ideas and your members on the Nairobi Vision 2050 planning steering committee. We must do it together, just how you did it for the country before. The future will not plan itself. In 1950, 22% of the world was in Europe and 7% in Africa. In 2050, 25% of the world will be in Africa and 7% in Europe. Unless we future-proof, and of course 65% of those will be in cities. So unless we start planning forward, even as we grapple with the day-to-day challenges that we're facing, you've mentioned water, which I will just mention something small about, physical infrastructure. You know what happens when it rains with the floods, what happened in our city. We must be able to do it now. I'm really grateful that throughout the last at least 12, 13 years, I've been a close partner to KEPSA from Parliament. At every turn, when I was chairing committees with your roundtables, when we brought legislation, we worked very closely together on the 30% procurement opportunities for women and youth. We worked closely on the National Employment Authority bill that I brought in 2015, thereabouts. And we worked even closer when I was a senator for Nairobi. We did the first roundtable for a specific county senator and also for the governor. And I think maybe the last 1 year has been a bit busy for all of us, but I hope we can revive that with the Vision 2050 planning. The president is dealing with a lot of challenges that have, come over the years, and so am I. You need water for your businesses, and that's the example I just speak. Every day, our county of Nairobi, where most of your businesses are domiciled, receives 525.6 million liters of water. That is the quantity that we can get. That is our treatment capacity. Yet the demand is 900 million liters of water. That is a huge gap. And the reason for that gap was that for a long time, there had not been the right investment in that critical infrastructure. It's not something that will be solved in a day. We had only 4 sources of water. The first in 1906 by the colonialist, Kikuyu Springs, 6,000 cubic meters. The second one, 1928, what we call Ruiru Dam. The third one, 1956, Sasumu and Nyandarua, which is the second biggest, 60 million liters. And the final one was Ndakaine, that gives us 84%. Between then and now, there had been no extra investment, but the demand has been growing. As we speak, and I want to thank the president was able to unlock the Northern Collector Tunnel. The Northern Collector is adding 140 million liters per day into Nairobi. We are now at the final stages of testing. The testing, Your Excellency, on turbidity and the quality of the water is complete. We're waiting for you to come commission because they need water for their businesses. They need water. Is EABL here? I don't know if EABL is here. They're our biggest customer. Out of the 525.6 million liters, they take 100 million liters per day. And so they leave Nairobians with just the rest. But somebody told me Nairobians end up still drinking that one, which EABL has taken. They drink it in other ways. And so with that is an example of how we need to partner, because we need now to think of the next 1 million liters of water. The demand is growing by 4% each and every year. I think it's a good opportunity for us to look into partnerships, what we can do together. I want to commend many of your members, because some of the interventions we've been able to do in the city have been with your members who have decided, look, I can take care of this part, where my building is, where my company is, because there's that resourcing gap that we have in the city. The other thing I will mention, because I know we don't have much time, is on the issue of infrastructure. We're working really hard to provide world-class infrastructure in the city. I know we have a gap that we must fill. Many of the roads you've seen have had issues. And Your Excellency, they don't care whose road it is. They will show vehicles on a national road and they say, SAKAJA has filled the roads with his dimples. And they say, we don't want them on the road. Let them stay on your face. And I bear the brunt of it, even if it's a national road. Yesterday, the whole day we were with Waziri Chirchir from ABC Place all the way to Wathi River, looking at the undercarriage of the expressway. And we got those contractors who have been working on that. And we've committed. I want to thank the president, because we've agreed, whether it's a national road or a county road, we're coming together. The president has committed to inject money. I will not say how much, Your Excellency, so that it doesn't change. I know what you and I have agreed on. We're ready with that cooperation agreement so that we can have the kind of infrastructure to attract investments in Nairobi. God has blessed us with the gift of location. From Nairobi, you're in Dubai in 5 hours. You're in Schiphol, in Amsterdam in 8 hours. You're in London in 8 hours. You're in New York in 14 hours. And it's actually 10 hours, 11 hours coming down. It's faster. I think because it's downhill. I'm told the pilot, anakanyanga clutch, and it comes faster. But why come in 10 hours or 9 or 8 hours or 5 hours and get stuck in traffic for 4 hours? These are things that we must work on now. The BRT program. We need the private sector to partner with us. Finally, we as a county government have endeavored to make your business easier so that you can spend more time doing your business and not complying, taking too much time in compliance. This January, we launched the Unified Business Permit. Before, you'd have to have 6 permits from the county. Now it is only 1 UBP. We've had some challenges with the, with the system. Sometimes your invoices are not coming out, and we've agreed that we have a help desk between the county and the business community so that those issues are resolved. The second thing we've done is to agree on 1 inspection group. The days when 1 person from City Council comes in the morning to check your business permit, the next day somebody comes to check food and hygiene license, the next day somebody comes to look at your advertising, those days must end. And so what we want to implement is what we've done with our water company, Nairobi Water, where we have a system called Jitambulishe. If somebody comes to read your water meter, you can actually ask them for their identification, dial a short code, and you can tell that they are genuine staff of the county government. There are many imposters out there who are trying to get 5,000, 10,000, but harassing your businesses. So that we're going to launch it early in the year. And we have only 1 inspection team per sub-county. We're going to publish their names in the newspaper so that you know who it is, and they all come together so that we don't harass the businesses. I think what you require is predictability in your business, stability in your business, and of course, an environment that can help you thrive. So I wish you well in your journey. We've had daunting challenges as a country, but you've stood firm. You exemplify the Kenyan spirit of resilience. You know, that defiance to go against the odds, wake up every day, open your shop, open your business. That truly is a Kenyan spirit that we must really applaud, and we congratulate you for that. One last area of partnership that we're looking into, because I know many of you care not just about your profits, but also about ethics and about the society and the community. I'm grateful because since we launched our cash-free policy in Nairobi County, many of you have complied. We said all our revenue streams are now digitized. We've raised record revenue. This year we hit shy of 13 billion from the previous 8 billion, and it is you who've been paying. We want you to see your money working for you. But that challenge which we saw, that many of our children were missing out of school because of hunger. 1 out of 4 children in Nairobi was not going to school because of hunger. Together with the president, we launched a feeding program in the city. We've built already 17 central kitchens, and every single day, 310,000 children are being fed at 5 shillings. I hope that is an area that we can partner between the county and your businesses, because we're setting up a governance structure for it, a board where you can be members, and you can support a child, or you can give us some of your produce to feed the future of our county. So asanteni sana, hongera for 20 years. Allow me to invite my colleague, Governor NYONG'O, to say something. Governor NYONG'O was instrumental during those early days. Please, let's clap for him as he comes on stage. Then I'll invite Waziri.
Thank you very much, my brother SAKAJA, Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, William RUTO, the Chairman of KICC, ladies and gentlemen. I stand here with a lot of nostalgia, because when I see Manu Chandaria there, and I see Mike Eldon there, and I think I saw Samuel Mwale. I was just asking about you the other day. I'm glad I've seen you because I need you for something. So, thank you so much. 20 years ago, Mr. President, when I was Minister for Planning and National Development in the NAC government in the Republic of Kenya, NAC has just taken over after many years of struggle and frustration among Kenyans of a government that didn't care about the people. And it was, people were excited in this country. Citizens were arresting the police on the streets for taking bribes. And we were all very excited, and the President Mwai Kibaki, gave me the opportunity to serve this country as Minister for Planning and National Development. I could not believe the interest people showed in trying to get a blueprint for the future of this nation. I will not go into this, that's nostalgia, but what happens at Raja Lodge in Mombasa, when we all came together to discuss this future, is what gave birth to KICC. And in that regard, then Mr. Samuel, Mike Chege, and David D, who are part of my advisory team, and Manu Chandari and Mark Eldon, who stood for the private sector in discussing how we can work together. And I discussed with Manu over dinner one day, and I said, look, why doesn't the private sector come together? Rather than come to us as Kenya Association of Manufacturers, Kenya whatnot, just come together one body, because we're one government, so that our discussion can become more efficient. The speech I'm going to give today, Your Excellency, is a summary on of this reminiscence that we have as we mark the 20th anniversary of KICC. Today, December 2024, KICC marks its 20th anniversary. Formed as a Kenyan umbrella organization to bring together local businesses and connect them across the globe, KICC has made great strides. KICC was formed in 2003 as part of institutional reforms under the National Rainbow Coalition government, after Kenya had slid systematically into the abyss of underdevelopment and hopelessness in previous years. Premised on the development blueprint of economic recovery strategy for wealth and employment creation, KEPSA came into being to give a voice to the business community at the policy table. NAC recognized that this important constituency would be instrumental and responsible for the recovery by generating wealth to create jobs. By the way, as a parenthesis, civil society almost killed me for talking about creation of wealth and not talking about poverty reduction. So I said, you cannot reduce poverty if you don't create wealth. You cannot create employment if you don't create wealth. So the two are interdependent. So we must think of wealth creation before we think of poverty reduction or employment creation. Today, the vision of creating KEPSA is self-evident. In an economy that registered 7% growth from 2003 to 2007, from a negative 0.2%. This recovery also resulted in Kenya being able to rely entirely on its taxes to meet its recurrent expenditure needs without any appetite for debt. But what has KEPSA itself achieved? In commemorating this milestone, some of its achievements are the following. It has grown its membership to 64 business associations in Africa and 283 corporate members alongside a significant number of small businesses, constituting 90% of its membership that they have helped to innovate and grow. 2, effective public-private dialogues with the presidency, cabinet committees, ministries, judiciary, legislature, county governments, resulting in Kenya's rise from 136th in 2015 to 56th in 2020 in ease of doing business ranking. 3, thought leadership and insights to complex public policy issues through seminal papers, CEO surveys, PPD presentations, and national business agendas. 4, essential partner and instrumental implementer in Kenya's socio-economic development transformation from least developed country to lower middle-class income country status. 5, influential in the policy formulation and successful implementation of successive national government development strategies from 2003 to 2022, resulting in Africa's most successful public-private partnership for national development. 6, KEPSA's partner organizations are well placed to support business across dozens of sectors from every corner of Kenya, and the growth in membership is a statement to this. KEPSA's public-private dialogues, global networking, and establishment of the KEPSA Foundation are some of the notable programs that continue to support businesses in various sectors, from subsistence agriculture, SMEs, to AI, with practical advice and trustworthy connections. Their unique combination of local knowledge and global reach has meant that many SMEs are beginning to access international markets and grow their business further and faster. But how has KEPSA been helping businesses? With 90% of its membership being SMEs, these companies have benefited from personalized business advice that has helped them to enhance their international potential. KEPSA thought leadership, tapping into the collective thinking of its membership, has been instrumental and influential in this regard. Secondly, a significant number of SMEs have made critical growth-oriented international business connections through KEPSA-led initiatives, such as inbound and outbound trade missions and brokerage events. Many of KEPSA members are experiencing vertical growth, that is, from SMEs to middle-sized and ultimately large companies, from tailored innovation support services and strategic partnerships locally, regionally, and internationally. But KEPSA faces certain challenges. And these are insights I've gotten from business community in Kisumu. First, power quality. The community experiences frequent power outages that affect production. 2, infrastructure. Roads, Kisumu, Londiani Road project has stalled. North Airport, Sabuni roads are in bad state. Sugar Belt roads are not motorable. There is also the issue of insecurity that as a county government we are very concerned about. And we are working together with the national government through the county commissioner's office to deal with this issue. And further, tax and regulatory environment is unpredictable, affecting long-term planning. There is a need to simplify the local tax administration. These challenges from Kisumu are said to be experienced by the Kenyan business community, as they all relate to roles that are the responsibility of the national government. What is KEPSA's future? I will just speculate from the point of view of not being a member, but looking at what you do. Notwithstanding KEPSA's short existence, many companies have benefited from its support. Companies across Kenya and beyond find it a reliable partner with a proven track record in helping them achieve their growth ambitions. Building on this success, KEPSA's overarching goal in the future is to improve Kenya's global competitiveness by continuously improving the business environment. The private-public dialogues, together with thought leadership, will be enhanced in a quest to achieve Kenya's competitive agenda, anchored around, one, ensuring that the cost of material inputs for businesses offer competitive advantage to Kenyan companies by reviewing the cost of compliance that take the form of administrative costs, taxes, and regulation. Secondly, efficiency of utilities, water, energy, telecoms, as SAKAJA said, in their distribution, consistency and reliability of service provision. Institutional policy and regulatory burden significantly increase the cost of service delivery, which the utilities pass on to their clients. And three, supporting high productivity by evaluating and reviewing labor costs compared to East Asia, that is emerging as commanding the global growth market in the next decade by 50% against price increases and political uncertainty in Eastern Europe and the Middle East. And four, trade and logistics that facilitate competitiveness, ensuring that inbound and outbound national transportation networks, roads, railways, ports, airports, marine, and so on, attain cost efficiency by improving facilities for production, e.g. special economic zones, industrial parks, export promotion zones, urban and peri-urban industrial areas, and so on. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, affordable cost of finance to spur business growth, targeting the export market. This will include examining capital and operational expenditure, financing of trade facilities critical in the drive for competitiveness and openness of the market. I do believe that KEPSA will champion the growth of this economy, Kenyan economy as a whole, if indeed, as they have done, and as their program shows, and I look at it very carefully, all these initiatives are successful. I thank you very much, Mr. President. Thank you for listening to me. I'm sorry, being partly a professor and a governor, when I got opportunity to speak at a professor, I take too long. Paul.
Another round of applause for Governor NYONG'O. Thank you very much, sir. And at this point, Your Excellency, I would like to now call upon the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry, Honorable Salim Mvurya, who will in turn invite His Excellency the President. Karibu sana waziri. Tumpigie makofi tafadhali.
Your Excellency, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya, Your Excellencies, Governors, Nairobi County and Kisumu County, the Chair of KEPSA, Dr. Bedi, and also the CEO, the Executive Board, ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellency, allow me, before I invite you to speak, to just make a few remarks, especially now that this is a celebration for 20 years. So I want to congratulate KEPSA for the 20 years anniversary, because in 20 years you have really made a huge contribution to the development of our country, and especially economic growth. As a ministry, Your Excellency, we have had a very close engagement with KEPSA. and KICC have been very responsible for the Finance Act of 2023, where a number of issues that they had raised were included, including the Finance Bill of 2024. And Your Excellency, even now as we discuss the tax laws, which are very critical in ensuring that we have a much more predictable investment environment, and also the Business Laws Amendment Bill. All these pieces of legislation, Your Excellency, have a very big input from KICC. I also want to recognize KICC's contribution to the implementation of Vision 2030 and also the National Plan. And as a ministry, we will continue to work with you so that we enable a much more friendlier business environment. Your Excellency, one of the areas that is also very critical is also to acknowledge and appreciate that within your transformative agenda, Your Excellency, you have created new horizons that KICC can also benefit and also take advantage of, especially on matters of the digital and creative economy, which is a very new area in terms of technological investments. The other areas of special economic zones, export processing zones, the county aggregation and industrial parks are providing new opportunities for investment within the KICC fraternity. So as a ministry, we will continue to work together with KICC to ensure we tap their experiences, because they are the ones who have a lot of experience in most of the government policies. And in that regard, therefore, we will have policies and other administrative decisions that resolve most of the issues that KICC is facing at the moment. Your Excellency, I also want to say that on matters national unity, it is not a political project. It is an effort by His Excellency to ensure that we also have a sustainable and very stable environment in our country. And I would want to urge all of us, even as we are in the private sector, we support His Excellency as he continues to engage broadly to unite the country and also within the framework of the broad-based government. Finally, Your Excellency, we are also working towards ensuring that we narrow the gap between foreign direct investment and also domestic direct investment, so that we can provide opportunities for both investors to enjoy incentives and benefits from our country's policies and legislation. Your Excellency, I want to end there, but just to say congratulations to KICC for this achievement. It is not a mean feat. 20 years is a long time. I'm sure you have faced a number of challenges, but again, a lot of opportunities have come into fruition. And going forward, we will work with you to ensure that you continue to realize. Request you to be upstanding as I invite His Excellency the President to make his remarks. Karibu sana, Mheshimiwa Rais, Your Excellency, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister. Please, asanteni sana. Thank you very much. Excellencies, honorable members present, our founding fathers who are here. I'm honored to join you this evening to celebrate KICC's 20 years of transformative contribution to Kenya's socio-economic development, a milestone that highlights the power of partnership and collaboration between the government and private sector in driving national progress. Over the past 20 years or 2 decades, Kenya's economy has extraordinary growth. A consistent GDP growth rate of 5.6%, again in 2023. This impressive and resilient performance demonstrates the a dynamic and vibrant private sector that continues to serve as a cornerstone of our economic development. Critical areas of our economy, from agriculture, which employs over 40% of Kenyans, the service sector, drive innovation and growth. Tourism has also played a pivotal role with accommodation and food services, recording a growth of 26% in the second quarter of this year. Together, these sectors form the bedrock of our shared prosperity. Recognizing the central role of the private sector, the government of Kenya has prioritized creating a conducive environment for business through initiatives that are being undertaken by my friend Salim Vuria and the State Department's charge. These platforms facilitate continuous dialogue between government and the private sector, ensure the implementation of necessary reforms, and promote policy alignment to drive economic growth. I have had occasion to engage KICC in roundtables, I think 3 times, and it has been a very informative conversation. I have also asked the ministry responsible for this space to have continuous engagement, especially when we are formulating policy positions, when we are looking at what areas that we need to intervene. And I'm very happy that that conversation is ongoing. We just need to scale it up. Our collaboration has already yielded significant outcomes, including the introduction of incentives for manufacturing, e-mobility, and special economic zones. These measures, alongside streamlined tax refund mechanisms, have boosted investor confidence and enhanced Kenya's global competitiveness. You all remember when we had this conversation about tax refunds. And we made the decision that because we were having a monster of a problem that seems to be non-ending, we took the policy decision and passed it in Parliament that if KRA owes your business and in 6 months they are unable to pay you, the next time you're supposed to pay KRA, deduct the money that they are supposed to pay you before you pay your taxes. That way, we make sure that we have a win-win arrangement, that if KRA delays in paying your refunds, there is no justification for you to pay the next until you get your refunds. So you net off, and I think it's managed to improve things on both sides. I think KRA are now much more forthcoming whenever they are processing those refunds. These measures, alongside streamlined tax mechanisms, have boosted investor confidence and enhanced our competitiveness. On the macroeconomic front, deliberate policy interventions have stabilized the Kenya shilling, leading to a 20% appreciation from Kenya shillings 162 to the dollar in February 2024 to Kenya shillings 129 today. Inflation has fallen to a 17-year low, declining from 9.6 in September 2022 to 2.8 this month. Additionally, foreign exchange reserves have surged to US $9.5 billion, ensuring robust import cover, and strengthening our financial markets. You all remember 2 years ago we had a big challenge. In fact, the first group that I met were the oil marketers. And the oil marketers were really in trouble because we spend close to $500 million every month to service our oil products imports. It was a big challenge, and we managed to design an innovative mechanism working with local banks and structured what many people did not think it was going to work. But today, we have a working mechanism that has removed pressure from banks. I remember banks had become rationing dollars that are available to importers. We have since resolved that issue, and I am very confident about the future, that even companies that could not remit, dividends to foreigners, and they had to wait for months to be able to do that, that challenge has now been removed, sorted out, because we have consistently worked with the private sector to identify areas of collaboration and partnership that would help to resolve the challenges that face our economy. I must say here that for the first time, I realized why a big bank is necessary. Because all the other banks took off, and we were left with Kenya Commercial Bank, and they sorted us out. Congratulations, Kenya Commercial Bank, for standing in the gap. Subsequently, many other banks have come on board, and we are now working together with confidence with all the other banking institutions. The outcomes, of course, have restored market confidence, significantly reduced the cost of servicing external debt, and created fiscal space to support our development priorities. The government of Kenya remains unwavering in its commitment to leverage public-private partnership to fund and deliver major infrastructure projects across Kenya. World-class infrastructure is the foundation of economic growth, job creation, poverty alleviation, and regional integration. From successful collaborations such as the Nairobi Expressway, the County Aggregation and Industrial Parks, and the Lapsset Corridor, we have demonstrated how PPPs can mobilize private capital and expertise while reducing the fiscal burden on the government. Moving forward, we are expanding this model to critical sectors, including transport, energy, water, and affordable housing, to ensure sustainable and efficient delivery of projects that transparently and efficiently meet the needs of our people. Let me say this, that private-public partnership is the way to the future. We are currently in consultation on how to deliver universal health coverage. And one item that is critical to the delivery of universal health coverage is equipment in our hospitals, whether we are talking about MRI equipment, whether we are talking about dialysis equipment, and many other equipments that are necessary for the delivery of UHC. Of course, apart from human capital that we require, and apart from medical commodities that we require. And we have agreed in a structured manner with all the stakeholders, including our county governments, that using the model that we used before under the managed equipment service, we have improved on that model. In that model, we contracted suppliers who supplied equipment, and we used the equipment to deliver service. We paid the suppliers for that equipment over time. This time round, we've made it even better. We have told the suppliers, because the challenge we had in the other program was that we had some equipment delivered to some hospitals that did not work, and yet we paid for them. And some of the time the equipment worked, some of the time it did not work, but we paid for them. So we told them this time round, you deliver the equipment, because this is a public-private partnership. We will pay you for the service of that equipment. If you deliver for us one MRI service, we pay for that service. If the equipment is down, we don't pay. If the equipment is not functioning, we don't pay. That way, everybody does their part of the bargain. Equipment that we have used public money to pay, yet not working. Or we also eliminate paying for equipment that is not providing any service. That you can fly from Dubai 5 hours, but you can also spend 3 hours. But thanks to the expressway, did not put any money in the expressway. It was built by the private sector. We gave them a long-term lease of 27 years. They will recover their money from the tolling, and we are all happy. We can now take between 10 and 15 minutes to be in the city center. We don't have to spend 3 hours. I guess it works for everybody. It works for the private sector. It works for the public sector. It works for all of us who use that facility. And that is how the future is going to look like, because it provides us a win-win arrangement. Unless the private sector represented here don't see the opportunity. When we talk about the private sector, and when we talk about PPP, they must not necessarily be foreign, and they must not necessarily be white. Yeah? So you should put yourselves together and deliver some of these projects locally. We have sufficient financial muscle among some of you who can help us deliver some of these projects. Let me give you another example. The governor of Nairobi again has said ably how we are going to give him 140 million liters every day beginning shortly, because we have just completed the project, the Northern Collector. But he didn't tell you the difference this time round. I have told him that we are not going to give him the water for free. He is used to free water, this man. You know? And you know, the irony of this whole thing is that as national government, we invest deliver water to utilities. And when that water comes to the city, it is free. So we go looking for taxes from Kenyans to go pay for the dam. And meanwhile, we have delivered water for free to our city. And that is why the city sometimes is not conscious. That's why most of that water is wasted. Because if you get some water for free, you are not very keen on how you use it, you know? So now I signed the law 2 weeks ago, the new water bill. We're now going to have a bulk water. We're going to sell him water at a fraction of what he is selling to the public. And we are going to invest that money in putting up a new dam for him so that we can meet the gap that he has said. He said he needs 900 million, and that is growing. He now, even if we give him 140 million liters, we still have a gap of almost 250. That way, we make the whole cycle sustainable. And because there is no free lunch anywhere in the world, I guess there is no free water anywhere in the world. And if there was, the county would be delivering free water to citizens, but they are not. So again, we have to build sustainability into this. And I want to invite again the private sector, because now we have a revenue stream. You can invest in water, and we can pay you for the construction of a dam, because we have now a revenue stream. So these are some of the areas we are building on sustainability to make sure that we can achieve the aspirations that we have in a sustainable way by working together in that manner. So the private sector has a very big role to play going forward. Whether it is in delivery of our electricity, all of you know that today it is the private sector that invests in our electricity. Through the power purchase agreement, once we give you a power purchase agreement, you can put your money in generating electricity. And that is what is going on with all the green energy we are producing. Now we have a water purchase agreement. We are going to have the next thing so that we can invest in that area. Let me also say the following. Because we are discussing about KICC and the private sector and what they can do. Look at what we did with Kenya Power. We made the decision that Kenya Power is not entirely going to be run by government or directors from government. That is why we surrendered 4 director positions of Kenya Power to the private sector. And we asked the people in that space who were equally shareholders of Kenya Power to give us directors to run that entity. And I pulled back government influence from Kenya Power. Look at the transformation we've had. This year, Kenya Power, that has made losses forever, made a profit of 36 billion this year. That's what it is. That's what the private sector, the difference the private sector can make. And we can continue, and we can continue, and we can continue. And that is why the private sector in Kenya is punching below its weight. There are bigger opportunities. The private sector needs to be much more robust. I will give you another example. We are, as a country, we have the 3rd largest livestock herd in Africa, Kenya, that is. We have the 3rd largest herd of livestock in Africa. And the irony is that we import all the leather products, all the shoes, and we throw away our hides and skins. I have looked for a guy called Rao. I have begged him. I don't know whether Rao is in this meeting. And I have really been on his case because he happens to have an idea of what we can do around leather, because at least he's producing local leather in Kenya. And we want to support that enterprise. I was talking today to the pastoralist community in Kenya, why we need to do more professional flaying of removing of the skin, that is, and hides. Why we need to do more in that space to invest. And I have made a decision that Kenania, which has been a big challenge here, by January, it should be working so that we can do more around leather. We can expand our leather products and make sure that we take the country to the next level. Again, to the private sector, there is huge opportunity in the leather space. And I wish